Hello, welcome to an intro and overview of the components and the background to Pax Porfiriana. Another one of those fantastic games from Phil Eklund, Matt Eklund and Jim Goot. It's been out for quite a while now. This is the collector's edition, as you can see in this very nice box here. The original edition was a much smaller box, in the same vein, for instance, as any of you that know the games from Phil Eklund, like Greenland or Neanderthal or Bios Genesis and those kind of games. So there's a small, an earlier small box version. This is the collector's edition, which is freely available. And it's very much the same. I think some of the counters in the game, in the earlier game, were a little different. Although I can't say that the counters in this game are, in this version, are an improvement at all. But they're functional nevertheless, but we'll go through those shortly. There are now 6 sets of player cubes in the game. I think in the original there was only 5. There are now 6 sets of these player cubes, these resource cubes, which are used almost exclusively for income, denoting where your income is coming from. There is a board, as you can see here, with the collector's edition, but not with the original edition, although the board is available separately. What does the board do? It has a little bit of theme, maybe. I quite like it because I have the same kind of board for the Neanderthal and Greenland games. I quite like it because it gives you a neat area, spaces to place your cards in what's called the marketplace. It isn't a marketplace literally, but it's from where cards are placed and from where you actually draw cards each turn. So it's a nice addition, absolutely 100% not essential to play the game, but nice. There are also, I mean, look at this stack of cards here. There are 220 cards in the game, 220, and each game you will only use a base set of 50, so they all get mega shuffled, and they do require a mega load of shuffling. They get mega shuffled. 50 cards are dealt out, which is going to become your play deck. And then plus an additional 10 cards for each player. So for instance, I play this almost exclusively solo, using a set of solo rules, which we'll come on to shortly. Or I play 3 players against themselves, so I'll play 3 different hands, and I love playing it that way. I think you get the maximum out of the game by playing it that way. I know a lot of people don't like doing that, but I tend to be able to play it quite fairly, each player to the best of his ability, because again, with this kind of game, it's the stories it builds, and this game builds some fantastic stories. So for instance, in a 3-player game, or in a game where you are playing solitaire, but you are playing 3-handed, you would deal out the 50 cards, add 10 cards per player, so a total of 80 cards that you'll be playing with out of a total of 220. So the replayability each time these cards are shuffled after each game is absolutely enormous, and the unpredictability of how these cards are going to come out in the marketplace absolutely guarantees that every single game is completely different. So, what's it all about after all that? Pax Porfiriana, I'll read some of it actually from out of the rule book. The background of the game sort of takes place between 1898 and 1920-ish. And Pax Porfiriana means the Peace of Porfirio. And the Peace of Porfirio is El Presidente, the President of Mexico at the time, Porfirio Diaz. And this guy ruled the country for more than 30 years, but that's why it's called the Peace of Porfirio, or Pax Porfiriana. Because yes, okay, he sort of outwardly stabilised the country for 30 years or so, but he did so by ruling with an iron fist. Lots of dissent, lots of unrest taking place. Oligarchs or hacendados, and you are going to play one of the hacendados, took hold of the country and grew more and more powerful. Backhanders, if you like, from Porfirio Diaz to keep the locals in check and to get rich off the back of that. I'd heard of the Mexican Revolution, which took place in 1910. Well, say it's a revolution, but this period of chaos and anarchy lasted some 10 years, 1910 to 1920-ish, where the president of the country changed several times. People changed sides, lots of backstabbing going on, lots of bandidos, lots of private armies. All of this is recreated within these cards. You have your hacendados and you choose from 6. There can be 6 players to this game, so you've got 6 guys to choose from. We'll cover those shortly. Most of the cards contain actual historical figures. The card artwork is fantastic. Private armies, lots of politics, lots of flavour texts on all the cards to cover this revolutionary period. And the idea is, who is going to come out on top? Who is going to topple Porfirio Diaz? Who is going to topple Porfirio Diaz and become the next president of Mexico?